We are live from National Trial Lawyers in Miami. We are live streaming this, and we are live in person for Tort Talks, Day 2, Miami. We have John and Mark and the wonderful Joe Fantini. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, guys. Excited to do another live edition of Tort Talk.
So, unfortunately, we were unable to do an episode of Pillow Talk because we couldn't get a bed here inside the conference center at the Lowe's Hotel. But maybe at the next Mass Tort May Perfect, we'll bring back Pillow Talk. But we have a lot of updates to go through. A very, very busy week in the Mass Tort world. So let's hop into some of the different trials that are going on.
I want to talk about social media addiction because I was really surprised to see the Snapchat settlement. So they're out of the trial. The trial starts actually today, the 27th, in California. Lanier is handling the trial. I know Bergman is out there from Social Media Victims Law Center. Give us like the current state of that trial and what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, I was surprised that it's still going on at this point, honestly. Right after Snap settled, I thought the other ones would settle as well. We talked a little bit off camera about Meta being worth more than $1 trillion, and they're going to let, Zuckerberg testify.
Insane.
It just doesn't, make business sense from my perspective for that to happen. So I think we're going to have a settlement probably at some point during the trial. I don't think it's going to go all the way through. I don't think it's going to go to verdict. The longer it goes on, the more they're going to have to pay during the trial. But it doesn't seem like it's positioned right now for a global settlement in that litigation. So I think this one case settles. And then coming up behind it, we have in the MDL, it's the school district bellwether trial next month. So maybe the defendants are trying to get a feeling on the value of the individual plaintiffs versus school districts. They just lost a motion to dismiss in that MDL, so that trial's on as well. But I haven't heard any real substantive talks of global right now, but I think that could happen this year in 26.
So we're talking about, is it just Meta that's left, or is Google in it too? TikTok?
Yeah, there's other defendants, Google, TikTok, and then even in different cases, there's a lot of different defendants as well. So this trial that's going on, I think doesn't make sense for Meta to have Zuckerberg
on the trial.
Yeah.
You think they'll settle out before he testifies?
That's what I would envision, right? I think that would happen. We still have to go through jury selection. We have to, get the trial underway, the opening. So there's some time, but I haven't heard a specific date when he's going to be called yet. Maybe that's out there, but I don't see this case going to verdict.
I heard it's impossible to get in the courtroom. They're not going to be live streaming it. It'll be interesting to see how much mainstream media coverage this winds up getting, but this is going to set the table for the future of this litigation. Snapchat settling out was a very positive sign for plaintiffs. The 230 stuff, I think, is somewhat in the rearview mirror, right? And now we're just dealing with how is each of these companies going to kind of set the table for the future of what they're going to do with each of these bellwether trials. And then, is a global going to come? We hope so. Right.
And like you said, it's going to set the table for this litigation, but then this is video game addiction. This is online gambling. This is going to be the roadmap for the Roblox cases. It's going to be for the ChatGPT suicide cases. This is really laying it all out. So like we've talked time and time again, it's this new age of mass torts, right? When's the last time you heard somebody talk about a product, a medical device in mass torts? It's not talked about. It's all on these digital platforms. So we're going to be focusing on that for the next 3-5 years. Make sure you follow along for Tort Talk, the most important 10 minutes of mass tort each week on the John and Mark podcast.
With Joe Fantini.
I'm trying to think, the last major drug that got any attention was Ozempic.
Yeah, and that was a couple years ago, right?
And that was just also that was one of the most widespread new medical products of the decade.
Yeah. It was a huge product, a lot of people using it, but we really haven't had a drug or a device case. If you remember 10, 12 years ago, the hips, where are the hip implants?
Yeah. Or any of those that have over 10,000 claimants as part of the MDL. There have been some small ones.
Right. Yeah. We have the Paraguard IUD going on, some of the power ports, right? But they're all under 5,000. So the numerosity, it's all in the digital right now.
Another case that settled out recently was the Paraquat case during the bellwether, or I guess it was before the bellwether, right? The trial hadn't started yet.
Yeah, correct.
For the audience that doesn't know about that, can you give an update on kind of how that went down and what that means next for that litigation?
Yeah, so in the Paraquat litigation, we have an MDL with about 6,500 cases. Then in Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas, that's the next biggest docket, about 1,600 cases. So this was the third bellwether trial scheduled in Philadelphia. It was a defense pick, and it was scheduled to kick off yesterday. We had a snow day, but it's settled. So they're settling.
That worked out.
They're settling defense picks right now. That's where we're at in this litigation. So, right, the EPA says they're really looking into whether or not Paraquat should be banned altogether.
Probably should.
We heard, about an MDL settlement for some cases. So there's not much more left in that litigation, it seems like, besides coming up on a number. So I'd say the window's really short to get more Paraquat cases. I don't see how we have anything but a global settlement, or could be inventory, but all the cases will be settled this year. So that's another, good development, but not a huge mass tort, but big numbers on those cases. Serious injuries, obviously, with Parkinson's disease.
How long do you think people have left to get new cases?
Ooh, it's tight. 3 months, maybe max. But, these cases are hard to get, right?
Yeah.
Like,
They're expensive. They're rare.
We've been doing the marketing for those cases for years, and people expect them to come in at Roundup cost, and they are not.
Or
Yeah.
volume.
Or volume,
The
yeah.
cost is higher. The volume is much lower.
yeah, I think, dozens of cases would be a lot at this point coming in each week. So it's wrapping up. But like I said, it's rare we get a settlement on defense pick. But being in Philadelphia, it's a great venue for the plaintiffs.
They know Joe is there.
Yes.
Joe Fantini is in Philly, and they don't want to mess with you.
Yes. And, everybody else is there now, too. I think the word's out. So that's one that, I feel more confident that the Paraquat will resolve this year compared to, say, social media.
What do we got next?
Let's see. Let's pivot to Roundup.
Yeah. So, Roundup, we talked about how the case was taken up, right, by the Supreme Court. We're going to have a decision before the end of June. Basically, what's happening there is no cases are really going to trial in between now and the Supreme Court decision. The courts are a little reluctant to have a case get all the way worked up, tried on this failure to warn issue, and then the Supreme Court on appeal says it shouldn't have happened. So they're settling one-off cases, and if any gets that far, but most of the judges are kind of just slow-playing it to see what happens with this decision. But then after that, right, we're going to know what causes of action we can proceed with. There's definitely a lot of fronts. There's the New Jersey State Court. There's the MDL with about 4,500 cases. Missouri has the center of everything with 40,000 plus cases. Philadelphia. So there's a lot of pressure, but it's kind of on standby. So I don't know if I can call that litigation resolving 100% this year.
That was your prediction.
I know. So I think we'll have inventories, definitely. And Bear, they've been saying for years, their CEO, like, we're going to resolve this litigation in 26. So we'll see, but there will be some settlements this year. I don't know if it's everybody, but we'll have to really be in a holding pattern for the next 6 months, but time to get cases still.
Path to resolution is at least in front of us, right? It's coming.
Yeah.
Paraquat and Roundup have been just sort of around for a while, and people have been interested in it, and I think it has led to a lot of the other environmental related litigations that have kind of sprouted up over the past few years. Are there any other environmental type mass torts that are starting to pique your interest? Have you heard like any rumblings?
Well, right, we had like the PFAS cases.
Yeah.
So that's kind of wrapped up a little bit at this point. What I think happens, bold prediction, in a couple years, we'll be going back on those cases with different injuries. So right now it's like top 6 injuries that we're really focused on. But as the science evolves and more comes out, I think we could have a PFAS round 2 or something like that, because we're only learning how harmful these chemicals are, and they're everywhere.
Everywhere.
And all of us in this room, everybody we talk to, everywhere we go, they're there. So that, and then I think some maybe like benzyme cases people are into. It's not really a mass tort. It might be.
Is that another chemical that's in the water?
Yeah, that's another chemical. It's kind of almost similar to like the asbestos litigation. So there's some firms that are kind of like really focused in that. The injuries would be like AML, which is like another rare type of cancer. In Philadelphia, we have some cases there, but I haven't heard much of other, big kind of environmental mass torts right now. But I think we could have some pockets popping up of these PFAS, AFFF cases.
What about talc, right? We've talked about talc starting to...
We've talked about talc for years.
We have talked about talc for years, but I think we're moving forward towards resolution in talc.
Yeah.
What are you hearing right now?
Yeah, well, we have a trial going on right now in Philadelphia. We had 2 snow days this week in Philadelphia, Monday and Tuesday. So that's ongoing. I mean, just our past experience with Philadelphia, we're probably looking at a very big number coming out of there. Right? J&J, they've dug in, they're fighting every turn, but I think it's time, right? And just if you look at the bankruptcy, they were offering 8 or 9 billion. So there's been a lot of cases have gotten filed since that bankruptcy stay got lifted. But ultimately, we'll probably end up with 80,000 cases. And I think we first start seeing some inventory settlements in that case. I don't think they want to do a global just because it might make the company look weak a little bit. I think that's how some defendants perceive the globals. And so we'll see some inventory, some of the top firms getting knocked off. And then eventually this year, that litigation's probably winding down too.
Hopefully.
Yes.
We would love to see that.
So if we can get all 4 of these litigations wind up, everybody would be very happy.
Yeah.
Yes. There's another trial that's going on right now. We're dealing with the Uber sex abuse. The first trial in the actual MDL is taking place right now. Where are we currently at in that? I know that there's been a bunch of motions that have happened during the trial.
I heard there's some crazy stuff that happened last week when I was following around with the news. So
yeah, so we're about 2 weeks into it. I guess there was an issue about a prior complaint being made about the driver at issue here. So the judge wasn't pleased with maybe that being brought up. So that was certainly an issue, but that trial should be wrapping up here shortly. If it's not the end of this week, certainly by the end of next week. And again, if you remember in the state court proceeding, they found that Uber was negligent, but there wasn't that causal connection with the injury of the plaintiff. So are we going to be able to prove that in this case? That's going to be decided by the jury. The facts are a little bit stronger. We have the roadmap, but it doesn't look like Uber's interested in a global right now. So I could see, regardless of the outcome, even if we win, Uber digs in and tries to come back for another trial, win that one to knock down the value of those cases. But, right, is there Lyft litigation that's picking up?
They're consolidating that, right?
Yeah.
Did they actually announce that they are? I know it was up.
So they apply for consolidation.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if it's been consolidated yet. I think, is there a hearing maybe this month or next month on that?
We're live. We're going to Google it.
Let's see.
As of January 2026, petition remains before the JPML seeking to centralize federal
It has
claims.
not been consolidated.
Yes.
Yes. It says 100 cases are in a California JCCP.
Yeah. So, it's the same roadmap with Uber, right? We'll have it in California state court. We probably want to go to California federal court. They're not going to want to go there, the defendants, and then they'll kind of streamline. But the roadmap's there, right? With Uber, we know what's happened in these cases. They're really bad cases, but the issue is whether or not that negligence is what, caused these plaintiffs' injuries. So
Is this a plaintiff bellwether?
this case, I believe it is, yes.
So, I mean, we need to win this one,
Yeah.
right? We have to have a good result. What else do we have going on? That's a lot of activity for a week.
I feel like that was like more than all of 2025 is going on right now.
I think those are all the trials we have right now. Other litigations people are involved with, right? We have weight loss. We've talked about that. Hair relaxer, which, I really like. Bear hugger is another one, and then the video game addiction. So just basically 5 trials kind of ongoing at once, unheard of.
Yeah.
In mass torts, we'd be lucky to get 2 trials a year.
Where's Roblox at right now? There's been a little bit of a buzz about it at the conference.
Yeah, so that just got consolidated. The initial case management conference was supposed to be this week. I know a lot of the firms that are going for leadership have trials, whether it's Lanier or the firms involved in Uber. So basically, we're in that initial 6 months phase of an MDL where they meet with the judge, they apply for leadership, they come to an agreement on e-discovery, kind of the framework for some of the case management orders. And then after that is when it will really pick up. So, it's going to be a little bit of time on that one, but I don't think that's going to be this 10,000 plus MDL, right? And then one other case we're going to talk about is Depo, right?
Yep.
That's another one that is on this kind of rocket docket. We've never seen a mass tort really move this fast. So we could have a trial here later in 26, which would really be unheard of. So just, think how long it took us to get the trial in some of these other cases, like Paraquat. We actually have that trial going on too now. But it took us 6 years to get the trial in Paraquat, where in Depo, it's going to be about 2 years.
What's the reasoning?
It's the judge is a main component of it. So, right, it was Judge Rogers that we had in 3M who learned a lot, right? 300,000 case docket, one of the biggest ever. So becoming efficient with that. And then we did kind of this initial test group right off the bat. And so that got these individual cases worked up like bellwethers. So the plaintiffs want to use that as a roadmap going forward. So these cases can get to trial in 2 to 3 years after the MDL's formed, instead of 5-6 years like we're saying in Paraquat right now.
All right. Well, that's a lot going on in the world of mass torts. Real quick updates. What's the buzz at the conference right now? You're usually a man of the people. You get to know, listen in and hear what's going on. You get all the hot gossip. What's going on at NTL?
Yeah, I think people are excited about Talc, right? People think that's going to settle. There's some momentum. The numbers
finally getting that money back out.
Yeah, and numbers should be, decent, hopefully, to compensate some of these victims that are really hurt. And then I think the next biggest buzz is going to be on the social media, right? Everybody wants to hear how that turns out and how to get involved.
Yeah, that one I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens there this week. Kicking off in California. I think we might even be going out to California.
Yeah, we might cover it live from the courtroom.
We're working on it.
Or outside the courthouse, not the courtroom.
Okay.
As close as we could possibly get. We'll see.
We're texting with our connections.
All right, good. Well, I'll tune in. I'll tune in for sure.
So outside of mass torts, right? What was Joe Fantini's dinner selection last night? You were hyping up Miami food scene.
Yeah, well, I went to this Italian place. I think it was called Mercata, and it was on this really awesome street where there are a lot of restaurants, and you could kind of like walk down without any cars. So that was good. And then I went to this other place the night before called Stubborn Seed, which is a Michelin star place, and it was amazing. It was one of the best I've seen. So yeah, the food's really good. Miami's great. I think the Lowe's Hotel's an upgrade over Fontainebleau. No disrespect to Fontainebleau.
I personally hated the Fontainebleau. I thought it was a dump.
Well, that's Mark, not Joe. Joe says it's nice if you guys want to invite me back. But they have a very nice bar at the Fontainebleau.
Yes, they do. The lobby bar was excellent. I will say Fontainebleau lobby bar was much better.
Yeah.
But the rooms were way louder.
Yeah.
And not as nice.
My room was actually they sold out of rooms here at the Lowe's, so we're staying across the street at the Hyatt. It was kind of loud over at the Hyatt last night,
but it's nice here, and I think this is a good conference. It was busy, right? A lot of people here.
Surprisingly so, right? Like with snowpocalypse going on, you made it out early.
Yeah,
we talked to a lot of people who either made it out early or showed up late last night or early this morning.
Yeah.
Very well attended. I mean, even yesterday during the day, we were walking around. There were a ton of people at the opening event last night for a couple hours. The whole thing was packed. This is one of our favorite conferences of the year. I'd say this one, PILMA is pretty good. And then the MTMPs are like the big circuit where we just see a lot of good attendance.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully MTP in the spring is well attended, has some good energy. The fall one was a little muted this year.
And I think it will, right? Like a lot of firms might be coming into some money this year with some cases settling, whether, people are getting CPAP or some Zantac or some hernia mesh money. There's going to be a lot of momentum building. And then if we can score some victories in 75-80% of these trials, I think mass tort in the spring is going to be really busy, complete opposite of what we saw at the end of the year last year, because it was slow. People were scared. People were a little tight.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think any of like the macro issues going on in the country right now, like politically at all, are going to affect what we're doing on the plaintiff side?
Well, I mean, it impacts, right, the Supreme Court, like that case getting taken up. Originally, when Ver appealed with the prior administration with Biden, the minute Solicitor General said, don't take up the case. And the Supreme Court decided not to. This time around, the administration said, yeah, do take it up. And they did. Usually they follow 70-80% what the Solicitor General recommends. And then also the huge one that we didn't talk about, Tylenol. Like, right. Is that case going to come back? We could have a decision likely before mass tort made perfect. So if that case is back, it's going to be a lot of excitement, a lot of people that we're trying to help.
The administration seems to favor that trial starting up again.
Yeah. So that's what's kind of unique is, right, they seem against us in Roundup. They seem so for us in Tylenol. So that's maybe how the politics play into it. But I think with any administration, some are going to be in our favor, some against. I'm hoping for some momentum, like I said, in the spring. I think mass tort made perfect will be good, and we'll get a lot of excitement.
Another one is mass torts Puerto Rico, I think.
Yeah.
Could be. We hear a lot of people talking about that one this year.
Yeah,
well.
I've attended a couple times. A little more intimate, a little smaller. Definitely the top tier firms are there. That's usually who's in attendant. I would say more focus on leadership firms, not so much getting that education like you do in mass tort made perfect on how to get involved in mass torts, how to work a case. It's really the top tier guys. It's great. I've been a couple times. Maybe I'll go this year. We'll see.
I think we're going this year.
Well, maybe I'll go.
I know. We are looking for a sponsor of the Tort Talks yacht in Puerto Rico for whoever would like to sponsor it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll look into it.
Here at NTL, one of the things that Mark was talking about as we took a stroll around the vendor hall was the changing face of the vendors that attend these conferences. And historically, it was a lot of service-based businesses. You saw a lot of like call centers, medical record retrieval.
A bunch of marketing agencies.
It's all software and AI now, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And even like to pick up on that, 5 years ago, it was all about the VAs, right?
Oh, yeah, it was.
The service-based.
And also who's missing a little bit from these conferences is the funders, right? Their presence at Mass Tort Made Perfect 5 years ago. Before Camp Lejeune, it was like...
Oh, yeah, there were humongous booths of like funders. I remember that. I don't see any recently.
Yeah, so maybe this isn't, the demographic of the firms they're looking to get involved with. But yeah, it's definitely technology, software are really driving it.
Although a lot of the conversations, the good conversations, happen outside of that vendor hall, right? If like the right people, you connect to the right people. I mean, we were talking to a funder last night. We were talking to, there's a lot that happens just outside of the vendor space. So we've got to record some great podcasts. We just filmed with James Helm from Top Dog. We had Litgo on yesterday. We had Michael Sale from Cordisco and Sale yesterday. Talking about AI companies, we've got today Foundation, we've got Eve.
Yep, and we're trying to book Even Up.
Yep. If you're watching this, I know you're recording stuff across the hall, but if someone from Even Up is watching this, feel free to reach out to Emily. We're trying to get somebody booked so we could talk about all the great AI solutions. We had some great feedback when we interviewed Jerry Joe from Supio.
Yeah.
And would love to just kind of continue understanding how the different service providers in our industry are leveraging all the new technology that comes out on like an almost daily basis at this point. This morning, actually, we sat down for coffee, 7 a.m., and Mark brought to coffee and I brought to coffee. Each of us had an idea of something that we wanted to build today.
Oh, really?
And we were just playing around with AI. And that just happens constantly. Like we'll either build stuff ourselves or we'll kick it to our team.
Yeah. Yeah, I think 2 to 3 years, the legal industry is going to be a lot different. It's going to be really efficient. It's going to be better for the clients, but the technology's a huge part of it.
Yeah. What else do we want to cover?
I think it's a wrap.
It's the best 10 minutes in Mass Torts each week has now been the best 24 minutes in Mass Torts each week.
Yep.
Joe, thanks so much as always. This is great. I think we should do more live stuff. We'll see what the audience says.
I know you think that we should do more live stuff.
I enjoy it. I
enjoyed it too.
You can't censor me when we do live
That's
stuff.
the reason I get nervous.
All right.
Cool. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. If you're watching this on the recap, enjoy. And if you're here at the conference, feel free to reach out. Mark and myself, Joe, we're around for the rest of the day.
That's a wrap.